Here we come to save the day.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
It's Southwest Bias live from Studio K, brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Become a Inner Circle member by downloading the Circle K app today. And yeah, here we come to save the day because underdogs are on the way. We are the valley of the unexpected. We've talked about this before, that some of the best teams and most memorable teams in Arizona sports history have actually been teams that were never expected to be good. It's just kind of our hallmark when it comes to sports. Teams that came into the season with lower expectations that wound up surprising people. It almost feels like when the weight of expectation falls upon an Arizona sports team, they find a way to fall way short of that expectation. We saw it with the Suns. We've seen it with the Diamondbacks, and it's for different reasons, whether it's chemistry, whether it's injury. We've seen it throughout the years. I mean, heck, even the defending champion Arizona Diamondbacks in 2002 disappointed due to injury when they were moving into that next season. It feels like the lot of what we have to deal with here. Expectation doesn't turn out the way we want. But when that expectation is lowered or not really there, teams somehow thrive. Teams find a way to overachieve and give us some of our favorite memories as sports fans. And this isn't just recent history. This goes all the way back to the 70s and the 1976 Phoenix Suns. They finished the season 42-40. They were a mess. Nobody thought anything was going to come of that team. And they wind up sneaking into the playoffs. Granted, a heck of a lot easier in 1976 to sneak in the playoffs than it was in current times and than it is. But they were underdogs in every series. And they wound up taking the previous year's champion, the Golden State Warriors, to 7 games and beating them on the road to go to the NBA Finals. And then they take on the vaunted Boston Celtics and they push them to the limit. Now, again, we know that it wasn't a title, but there are still people who talk about that series, who call the triple overtime game the greatest game ever played in NBA history. I wasn't even born, and I know all about it. And I have memorabilia from that team in my office because it was such a special inflection point for this team or for the city, and it was never actually supposed to happen. The 1998 Cardinals. The Cardinals had never made the playoffs since coming to the Valley in 1988. They hadn't made the playoffs for a decade prior to that when they were in St. Louis. They weren't supposed to be much of anything. And they scraped and clawed their way to a 9-7 record behind a young, scrappy quarterback named Jake Plummer, who had had his own level of success the previous year in shocking college football with ASU and coming really one drive away from being national champions. They weren't expected to do anything in the playoffs. Oh, and all they did was they went into Dallas and they beat Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irving in the playoffs in the first round. And nobody saw it coming. A 26 victory that shocked the NFL. The 2001 Diamondbacks, you'll say, well, they weren't underdogs. There's no way. Sure, they finished 92-70. One of the better records in the NL, the third best record. But they were underdogs going into that World Series for multiple reasons. One, even though the Diamondbacks had home field advantage, the Yankees had the better record in the regular season. The Yankees were technically a better baseball team. But that wasn't the biggest reason that the Diamondbacks were underdogs. For the first time in the history of the franchise in New York, everybody in the world was rooting for the Yankees that didn't live in Arizona because of what had happened in 9/11. And the Diamondbacks found a way to win that in 7 games in one of the most memorable series ever to give us our one championship. The 2008 Cardinals were not supposed to be good at all. They finished 9-7. Chris Collinsworth, that Chris Collinsworth, who's now on NBC Sunday Night Football, called them the worst playoff team in the history of the NFL. We're not talking worst playoff team that year. Worst playoff team in the history of the NFL. And all they did was just rattle off 3 wins in the playoffs and come really one toe tap that never happened away from a Super Bowl. They weren't expected to do that. Kurt Warner was on the trash heap. The Giants had thrown him away. He comes in here and pairs with Larry Fitzgerald, and they accomplish something that nobody thought they were going to. 2021 Suns. We know that story. 51-31 regular season record. They hadn't been over 500 in 8 years when they won 48 games and missed the playoffs. They hadn't made the playoffs in over a decade. They get in, and everybody thinks, well, they're going to lose to last year's champions, the Lakers, in round 1. They shocked the Lakers. They beat the Nuggets. They beat the Clippers. They go up 2-0 in the finals. Nobody expected that team to accomplish anything. And yet they were on the doorstep of winning the second championship here. And the 2023 Diamondbacks, the most recent example of this, finished 84-78. Middling is really how you describe that. They didn't have home field advantage in any series. In fact, in that first round weird wild card series, they didn't have a game at home. They played all in Milwaukee. Took care of the Brewers, took care of the Dodgers, beat the Phillies even though the Phillies were up on them in the series, and did it on the road. Sure, the World Series didn't work out, but that team surprised. Even players in this city have surprised. We're the valley of the unexpected. I mean, look at Steve Nash is probably held up as one of the best examples of a great player in Arizona sports history. Steve Nash was a 15th pick out of Santa Clara. Nobody expected a lot. So much so that the Suns traded him because he was the 3rd point guard on the team early on in his career. Went to Dallas. Dallas and Mark Cuban, friend of the program, decided, you know what? Steve Nash's back is too messed up. He's done. He's washed. Suns bring him back. He wins 2 MVPs. Nobody expected that at all. Kurt Warner, like I mentioned, was thrown on the trash heap by the Giants. Had been unceremoniously run out of St. Louis. Had injury issues. Had fumbling issues. He came in and beat out the gift from God, Matt Leinart, and wound up taking him to the Super Bowl. Devin Booker was supposed to be a Klay Thompson light kind of player. A guy that was maybe a 3rd option but could shoot the heck out of the ball. And he's now the all-time leading scorer in history. And I think the ultimate one is Merrill Kelly. Merrill Kelly was playing overseas, wasn't expected to be anything, has come in, and now he has, he's one of the top pitchers in Diamondbacks history in terms of wins. We are a city of the unexpected, a valley of the unexpected. And these teams that have the pressure of expectation don't wind up living up to it. But those teams that don't, those teams that are marginalized, those teams that aren't expected to do much of anything, find a way to surprise us. And I think this fall we've got 2 of them in the Arizona Cardinals and the Phoenix Suns that might actually live in a different realm than we expect. Now, I don't think the Suns are going to make a finals run, but could the Cardinals surprise in the playoffs? Sure. I think you could have one of those seasons with the Arizona Cardinals. And do I think the Phoenix Suns can be a lot better than expected? I do, and we're going to talk about that in the second segment. Because the expectation, that bar is the floor right now. And that ceiling ain't much higher than the bar in most people's minds, including the odds makers. But we are a valley of the unexpected, and I really think that there is enough talent on both those teams that maybe we'll see another one of those runs from one of them that we go, that's now one of my favorite teams in Arizona sports history. Because we like the underdog. In fact, we love the underdog. And most of our great memories come from them. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. We welcome in the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach, our biggest underdog here at PHNX. Started as a lowly producer. Now he's our head of production.
Whoa.
Gets to work with me on a daily basis.
I don't like that.
No?
No, I don't like that at all.
No?
I don't think I was. I think I was like minus 200 coming into this thing.
Were you? I don't know. I remember that slightly differently.
Well,
by the way, you have beef with my wife now.
Why?
You said I'm your bestie, and she was a little offended by that yesterday.
Well, you didn't say that you were that you were my bestie.
I know, but she said it might be time to fight. Well, so maybe we'll do that on the program. Maybe you.
You know, I think I'm good on that.
You and her can have a verbal sparring match. You'll be the undercard, and then we'll welcome in Mark Stein and John Gambadoro, and then it'll be Eric and that other guy I'm not allowed to mention on the program.
I think I actually would be the underdog in that scenario.
Oh, 100%. Total underdog. Do you enjoy the underdog status here in the Valley? I feel
no, I'm sick of it.
You're sick of it?
I'm so sick of it.
But did the Suns' last two seasons not cure you of wanting to actually be the expected winner? Because that was more painful than anything else we've ever gone through.
Yeah, I think there's a good middle ground, and I think that's what this team is.
I hope so. A big shout out to the biased in the chat. Too Fast Feet, Packer Craze, Slaughterhouse, and Corey Sanders in the chat. If you're in here, hit that like, right? And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It helps us out immensely. Shane, what else is going on in your world? I hear you're not very busy right now.
No, I'm heading out to Cardinals training camp today, which should be fun.
Is that why we have no sun today?
Yeah,
because
there's no sun today.
There's no sun today.
Yeah.
Shane is busy, and I'm just screwing with him right now. But on the other side of the break, talking about people screwing with other people, I think the odds makers are screwing with Suns fans a bit, and we'll talk about that next, right here on Southwest Bias. Mountain America Credit Union. Those 4 words are here to help your dollar spread further. They've got over 1 million members. That's right, 1 million members. Over 100 locations throughout the West. You want to be a part of the Mountain America Credit Union family. And a big reason of that is because until July 31st, you are getting double. 2 times the points when it comes to their credit card. They're getting double the rewards. And when you spend on anything, 2 times, right? It's not just good when you're a champion. It's good when you're getting double points as well. You can stretch that dollar further while earning those points. You can use them on travel rebates, gift cards, event tickets. I got to buy some event tickets for Mrs. Espo. I promised for our anniversary, and double points and being able to use those would be great. So I'm going to go to macu.com/double to take a look at it. And loans on approved credit offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer, terms and conditions apply. And now I got to tell you about one of my favorite places, Branded Bills. I've talked about it a million times, but that's how much I love Branded Bills. Right? Even if they weren't a sponsor, you'd see me wearing these hats because they are that comfortable. I am a connoisseur, an aficionado, a collector. However you want to name it, I am that when it comes to hats. Have too many of them, quite frankly, but more and more of them are becoming Branded Bills as I get rid of those other brands because these are the most comfortable, most breathable, the best hats you will own. And you can get them customized just like we did with the PHNX hats, the pennant, the Phoenix that you see here on the mic. We got that on a hat. You can do that for your business too. Plus, they've got custom apparel. So I want to save you 15%. Head to brandedbills.com, use the promo code BBPHNX, and you're going to save 15% off that first order. And yeah, I told you, the odds makers, they're kind of screwing with Suns fans. The latest odds from our friends at Bet365 have come out on the NBA futures list here. And the Suns win total over and under is at 31 and a half. The Suns odds to win a title are at plus 30,000. The Suns' chances to win the Western Conference is at 15,000. And Devin Booker's chances to win an MVP are plus 15,000. Do I think the Suns are going to win a title? No, I don't think that would be good money to put on the Suns, even at plus 30,000. And to win the Western Conference, probably not good money at plus 15,000. Devin Booker, I might throw a few bucks on that. I'm not throwing a mortgage payment. I'm not throwing a car payment, but I might throw $10 on that to win 1,500 because Devin Booker is a guy that operates great when there's not expectations. When he's angry, he operates great, and I think he's going to be that. But the one that I think is juicy, the one that I would look at and I would be just going at is that 31.5. I'd hit that over hard. I'd hit that over like somebody that insulted a family member, all right? Like, I would hit that over like freaking Gino Suarez is hitting baseballs right now, hard. Because I think this team will actually have more than the 36 wins that they had last year. Now, that more may mean 37. That more may mean 40. I'm not saying that they're going to win 65 games. I'm not saying they're going to win 55 games. But I think they are better than 31.5. Right? I think this team, I would pound that over. Now, granted, I'm not a betting expert, so I'm not telling you to put that, but I will put my money on that if I'm so inclined to here in the next few days, because that 31.5 just seems so low. Right? And I know people are like, oh, this team, they're not as good as last year. Last year's team wasn't good. Last year's team didn't get along. Last year's team had a head coach that could barely function. They've got a young, hungry coach. They've got guys that are coming in. I'd argue that overall, from 1 through 14 on this roster right now, they have more talent than they had last year. Not more top-end talent, but they have more talent that's likely to stay healthy outside of maybe Mark Williams. And they've got room for growth with a lot of guys, which was not the case over the last few years. The last few years, you kind of knew what you were getting. You kind of knew what these guys were. But I think people are highly underestimating the hiring of Jordan Ott and what it will mean to have a coach that is fully engaged, if you will, aligned with everything that they're doing. A creative offensive mind that wants to come in and wants to put Devin Booker in a situation where he can play his best, that wants to put Jalen Green in a spot where he can succeed. Devin Booker's back in the driver's seat. He does not have to defer to anyone on offense anymore. He does not have to be the second option to Kevin Durant. He's no longer hunting to find Kevin Durant in his spot to make those shots. Devin Booker can be Armani mode if they need him to be this year. Now, I don't know that that's what they're going to do. I don't know that Devin Booker, the scorer, is going to be the primary function, but if he goes that route, we know what he can be. If Devin Booker goes supernova like we've seen him do, he could lead this team to a surprising season. He could lead this team to where maybe he's in that conversation. And by the way, T. Boyd in the chat says, bro, Book was best when he had CP3. I get that, but statistically even, he had an unbelievable season last year, 27 points. Was top 10 in both points and assists. Like, I don't think we can just write off what he's capable of doing and just give Chris Paul credit for that. I don't think that's a fair assessment. Don't get me wrong, Chris Paul was great, but I think Chris Paul had more to do with DeAndre Ayton's success and the Twins' success. I think he had an impact on Devin, but I don't think he was the only reason for Devin Booker's success. I think Devin Booker has a chance to reestablish himself as a top 10 to 12 player in the league this year where everybody's saying, oh, he's on the downslide. He's in his late 20s. But that's not even why I'm buying in. Jordan Ott, a huge reason why I think they're over 31.5 wins. Just that change from where it was last year to that, right? But then that's before you even look at Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks, right? I think these guys are more motivated than anybody to come in and prove that they are keys to success. They were on the number 2 seed in the Western Conference last year. The Houston Rockets, who, again, nobody expected them to be a number 2 seed, and they succeeded in doing that. But then they are cast aside as if they weren't important parts. And I get it. Jalen Green had a rough playoffs, but he was there during the regular season and was a huge part of their success. Dillon Brooks was the edge that team had and helped their defense. And then I heard some of these, or read some of these Jalen Green quotes from a Players Tribune article, kind of his goodbye to Houston. He said, quote, "I'm just excited to get popping with Book and to create that winning culture that we figured out down here in Houston." Right? And then he says, "Thank God at least DB, Dillon Brooks, not Devin Booker, is coming to Phoenix with me. I can't wait to see a traded DB. He's going to be out there creating chaos, bro." Creating chaos. Does that not remind you of something that happened with the 2023 Arizona Diamondbacks team that surprised? This team's defense is going to be significantly better than it was last year. Isn't saying a lot. I mean, just showing up and playing defense would be significantly better than what we saw last year. But this team's defense is going to be good. They're going to fight. They're going to be scrappy. I don't think they're going to take crap from anyone. I mean, Dillon Brooks said as much in more colorful language when it came to the press conference in Las Vegas. You add these together. Then you add the growth of a Ryan Dunn in year 2, and then him learning under Dillon Brooks how to have that edge. You add in Mark Williams, and I get it. Believe me, I understand the injury concerns. But at 23, if he stays healthy, he's one of the best centers in basketball. A position that was about as ugly as me on a Saturday morning after a hard night on Friday in college. It was not a pretty picture, all right? Mark Williams can lift that. Nick Richards seems like he's going to stay as a quality backup. Oh, and Kaman Walawach is going to be learning the game and being able to come in and be a defensive difference maker when he's ready. This team has what it takes to be much better than those Vegas odds. In fact, it reminds me a lot of the 2014 Suns team, where everybody thought they were tanking, right? I think it was 19.5 wins that Vegas, the odds makers, had predicted was the over-under. And I was pessimistic then. And John Bloom came to me and was like, "That seems awfully low. I imagine it's going to be higher." And I was like, "Nah, let's hold off." And then they went on to win 48 games. Sure, they missed the playoffs by a game, but that was, for a 10-year stretch, probably the most fun we had as Suns fans. It was an exciting core. It was a scrappy core. It was an underappreciated group of guys that were put together. And even though they were viewed as rebuilding, they went out and they surprised. I think this team can do that. Again, I don't know if it's 48 wins, but I think it's a heck of a lot more than 31.5. I think addition by subtraction gets you to 37 compared to where you were last year. Jordan Ott, the guys you brought in, I think that alone and the quote unquote camaraderie in the locker room. I almost said that word that we banned. The camaraderie in the locker room, I think, can drive you to that. So yeah, 31.5. I'm taking that over every day. But Shane, you're a bit more of a betting aficionado. You have dabbled in the past. Is 31.5 low to you?
I'm staying away from this number.
You just don't want anything.
Well,
I don't
like betting on unknowns. Like, you just have no idea what this team is going to look like. Like, no clue.
That's fair.
So I would stay away from this number. It does feel a bit low, but you won 36 games last year and you lost one of the best scorers of all time. I don't really.
Yeah, but I mean,
I understand the culture, the logistics, the roster building, but if you're sports is a lot simpler. Specifically, sports gambling is a lot simpler than people make it sometimes. You have to look at just the truth, and the truth was they were horrible last year. They lost. They changed a bunch of stuff, which is great, but that doesn't mean it's immediately going to translate. I don't know if in reality, I think it's going to be around that number. I think it's going to be right around that 31 number, sadly.
Give me 37 or 38. And I'm not going to be throwing a parade because they win 38 games. I think they're going to be a hell of a lot more interesting than they were, right? I think they'll be more enjoyable because there'll be moments of excitement. But again, I'm not going to freak out if they win 37 games, but I think that 37-38 isn't unrealistic. I think they'll be better than their final record last year. I think they'll be better than the 31.5. By the way, I saw in the chat, there's been some rumors about Jared Butler reaching an agreement with the Suns. It does not appear that is the case as of yet. So it's a young guard that they're interested in, one of those borderline guys that is he NBA, is he a EuroLeague player, but a guy that they obviously have an eye on and some interest in as well. Driving and Delivering says the young guys are all a gamble if they work out or not. None of the Phoenix young guys have really proven anything. How many young guys have? I mean, I think Jalen Green's proven that he can score in this league. I don't think there's any doubt in that. He's got to prove other things, but I don't think this is a case of him, not being a good scorer. But I think you're right. Every young guy has something to prove, especially these draft picks. And honestly, I think 2 out of the 4 probably, or 2 out of the 3 probably work out. One of these guys won't. I'm sorry, one of these guys won't. And that's, maybe 2 of them won't. But if you hit on one of them, you're in a much better spot. So.
Jared Butler, Baylor Bear national champion.
Winning. Right?
Also averaged 12 points a game last year.
Mm-hmm. Granted, he played a lot of it in Philly, so not exactly.
And then the other half in Washington.
So, a lot of garbage time, which tip-off for both of those teams was garbage time. But, Smelly Garage Fluid says, I don't think 38 games is impossible. Other teams could sustain injuries. Anything could happen. But I think 38 wins is only 25 to 30% likely. I predict 33.5 games. You're going to win that half game. I like that. But he's saying over as well. One thing I want to get to, if we have a second. Can we throw that Joe Burrow? I know it's not Arizona sports, but it's the fashion issue of sports. When did we get a fashion issue of Sports Illustrated? When did we think, hey, Sports Illustrated is no longer weekly. It's 2 times a month, and we want to spend one of those issues in a fashion issue. Joe Burrow isn't a full suit in a bathtub or a cold tub. Why? I don't know. I thought it was weird.
It's cool.
I guess Devin Booker was in a bathtub in a club and everybody applauded that. So why not Joe Burrow in a bathtub on the cover of a magazine? I just found that odd.
I'm into it.
Yeah, thought it was good. So there's that.
I have a fashion issue with you.
What? Because I wear the same thing every damn day?
No, because you don't like the SI fashion issue.
No, that's what I'm not a fashion aficionado. We know that. So Driving Delivering says exactly, Espo. That's why the Suns are backed into a corner. If this crop of their picks don't work out, they don't have their own picks to correct course. They do have picks. So, but yes, they don't control their own picks. It's not an ideal situation. I'm sitting here saying 37, 38 wins is where I think they're going to be. We're not celebrating anything. I'm just thinking they're better than some of the expectations. Hit that like button on your way out as I get choked up about it. I appreciate everybody, all the biased in the chat. Hit that like button before you leave. He is Shane Diefenbach, the mustache behind the Mac. You can follow him at Shane Dief. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being the Valley of the Unexpected. unless there's some expectations on you. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.